See you in the afterlife. Days are forgotten, memories eyes. Time will decide. See you in the afterlife.
I think ultimately we make music to sort of make ourselves happy at first before we sort of finish a song. And I think we're always trying to sort of kind of make music for each other in many ways, because we're aware of each other's sort of musical tendencies or certain things that Tom listens to that I might like, oh, I might put some of that in there because I feel like Tom will probably take the song more seriously if it's got something that's like cool sounding on it. But I think it's healthy sort of thing to do. And I think every band probably does it, whether they admit it or not. I think if you start doing that with your audience and your fans, that's when there's a problem, because you're trying to design music for your fan base and you cannot do that. So I think what we tend to do is just make music that feels very true and honest and isn't compromised, and then you hope that somebody else is going to really enjoy that. And so far, that has happened on all of our albums, which we're very thankful for, and Exotica should be no different.
Yeah, I think our audience is always each other when it comes to writing, and and if we can impress each other, then I think that's enough, really.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a drummer originally.
Did you?
Yeah, thank God I wasn't. But they already had a drummer, so I picked up a bass guitar instead.
It's the classic,
Yeah.
isn't it? Less strings of the guitar, go for the bass.
The same story for every bass player, I'd imagine. But yeah, I'm glad I did.
No, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember growing up listening to a lot of music and hearing stuff that my parents played, and on records. But my first actual gig was at primary school, in England. That's like when you're really like a kid. And we played, I think, an Oasis song in the school hall. And the funny thing is, I'd only been playing guitar self-taught for maybe I don't know, a year, and I couldn't read music, and I had to mime the whole gig. And I remember afterwards feeling incredibly embarrassed that I had to lie my way through a gig. And so I said to myself, I'm never doing that again. And so I haven't mimed a gig since.
You were at my first gig.
Yeah, at the Cool Market Hall. I loved all that sort of stuff, so this would have been like, in the 90s. But still, I was too young to really appreciate the sort of how good Oasis were. But it's like a classic band that you go to when you play acoustic guitar, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
sort of Noel has made those songs kind of quite easy to play. In retrospect, at the time, I didn't understand what an E chord was or a G chord, and I thought that nobody would think, oh, he's holding a guitar, but the strings aren't ringing out. Horrible experience.
Don't do it again.
Don't mind, kids.
Sean's studio is such an amazing creative space. I think, with so many instruments available to hand, there was really no limit in that regard to what we wanted. Strings, various keyboards and pianos, synths. We were able to achieve any sound we wanted to, really. And then when you have that, I think you're going to create a record which has like wider instrumentation and everything that goes with that.
Yeah, I think it was the process. I think you go into it. We've never worked with anybody else really, so you go into the process with an idea that are we gonna lose something here? You don't go into it thinking, are we going to gain something here? And we gained so much from the experience, and I think you go in there with the songs in their form that they're in, and like Tom said, like when you've got all these instruments that you don't have at home, suddenly it opens up the canvas to different colours, and it just felt like 12 days of recording were just every single day you slept and breathed music, and we don't do that when we record at home because you have other things, your responsibilities and things that you have to be doing and want to be doing, but we're just fully immersed in it, so it felt like there wasn't any boundaries. There is boundaries with music, because otherwise you'd create avant-garde crap and you'd never have any decent melodies or things that people could remember, or nobody's first dance at a wedding is to some avant-garde crap. It's to something that means something because it has a melodic story or fantastic lyrics. And I think the only boundaries on this album were like, this one is probably kind of a single, so let's not go too far from where we need to go. But this one isn't, so let's go full experimental. And I think that's where it was boundaryless. I think.
Yeah.
We were all fully clothed. It wasn't like no boundaries. We weren't walking around naked, and it wasn't like that.
Yeah, there were emotional boundaries,
Yeah.
but not
Musical.
instrument boundaries. If anything, we added more, and then it came to the time to maybe cut them down, and we chose not to, because we felt like it would diminish the records in some way, I suppose. So I mean, that was quite freeing to keep them all on there,
Definitely, yeah.
whether it be on 2 LPs or 1.
Yeah, definitely. I think it should be. I mean, the cover is like, obviously, like, I think the cover depicts very much like sort of sets the scene, and I think we've got it sounds cliche, light and shade, but we do have light and shade, and I think you have darker moments and you have your more luxurious, laying on a beach, holiday nostalgia, but I think we've always had that. I think it's always been an element of what we do. There's always brighter, happier songs, and then there's the more mysterious parts of what we do artistically. And this feels like the best sort of representation, really. I think so far of like showing all those facets of what we do, in the past, but also like in the future as well. Yeah, I think so. I think we were all very much in touch throughout the pandemic. Talking to each other a lot, and then as soon as we could physically get together, Tom would come over to the studio at mine, and we'd go for wanders and talk about the tour that we just finished. Well, got sent home off, because of the pandemic. But I think there's lots of things get highlighted when you're forced to stay in, and I think there is some lyrical nods to it, and musically, if a song has sparseness to it, it might be indirectly linked to it, but I don't think it's consciously like us sitting there going, when will this pandemic be over? Now let's write this, this blissful song to just get out of this pandemic. I don't think it was as conscious as that. I think it was more subconscious.
I think, the situation makes you lean into let's escape, or and then the songs are maybe more about that than sort of complaining about being stuck or something. It's like a positive output, I think.
There would be moments where there would be an element of a song where you'd have an idea of, maybe we could have something that sounds like this here, and phone and find the song and go, like this sort of sound here, So there was moments like that, and there was quite a few albums that we would have, or songs really, we would have referenced. You know, for like piano sound, or you know, you wanted the string line to sound like this. You know, Johnny Harris, Footprints on the Moon, sort of cascading trilled strings that are incredibly hard to explain without having an audio version of it. You can't sing it like so. There's quite a few occasions like that, wasn't there?
I think things like instrumentals and soundtracks have always influenced us, and I think we use them more as like references maybe for sounds, as you say, than like a big inspiration for like the reason we've written a record or something.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think that's like the mystery question, isn't it? I think you never really know where it will go next, but it's exciting that it could be in any direction, I suppose.
I don't think we don't really plan it. We've never planned it. Like on our first record, we weren't thinking the next record we're going to make like a synth heavy record. You know, I think you don't think about what you're going to be having for dinner in 2 years' time. So why would you think about what songs you're going to be making? You know.
Yeah.
Let's come back to the food analogy.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, I think what we do next will be hopefully even better than what we just did. That's kind of what you want to do as an artist, is always get better.
Yeah. I think as little restriction or guidance in a way is often better. And it certainly would prove to be that with what we've just done. Exotic, right?
Make more